Welcome to the #1 source for information, news, and opinion on your Columbus Blue Jackets. This is CBJin30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. You can also find the audio version on the CBJ Radio SoundCloud page, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Google Play Music, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Now here's your host, Bob McElligott.
Welcome to CBJin30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Well, there is more good news in the National Hockey League. Phase 2 has begun. The players are back at the rink. The players are back in the weight room. The players are back on the ice, and they are skating in small groups. That is good news, item number 1. And coming up in just a few moments, I will talk with the Blue Jackets performance coach, Nelson Ayotte, about those small group workouts, about the protocols, and about the procedures that everybody is going through on what will be pretty much an everyday basis. But also, item of good news number 2 is that yesterday, the National Hockey League formally announced the date for training camps to begin. The NHL has set Friday, July 10th as the day for training camps to begin for the 24 teams that are going to play in, well, the play-in round and then move on into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we do have a date. Friday, July the 10th is when training camp is back. Now, the length of training camp and the start of the the length of training camp and the date for the start of the formal resumption of play has not been determined yet. The league says that will be determined at a future date. So there you go. All right, training camp starts on July the 10th. How long will it last? When will the games begin? That they don't know yet, but hey, little bits and pieces. We'll take bits and pieces right now, right? Especially when phase 2 just got underway and really kicked off for the Blue Jackets yesterday at Nationwide Arena. And to find out really on the very same day that they get back on the ice, that they will all be back on the ice on July the 10th. So that's great news. And it looks like it sets up for sometime last week of July, first week in August for the league to resume play. That's what it appears to be. Again, I'm making some assumptions. You know what they say about assumptions. But we've got a date. We've got a date, and I'll take it. Right now, I want to tell you about Telhio Credit Union. Speaking of dates, you should make a date with telhio.org, their website. That sounds weird, doesn't it? I guess that was really weird wording. But what I'm trying to say to you is take some time, set it aside, and go to telhio.org and look at all of the different services that Telhio Credit Union provides. Because what you might find out is that they have an account that has a perk that the account that you have somewhere else doesn't have. Maybe it's just a better deal, bottom line, better deal. Maybe they have a service that wherever you have your money right now, they don't provide that service. The way you find out is to go to the website, surf around, and check out all the information. It's right there at your fingertips. If you can't find it, there's a live chat option on the right-hand side of the screen you can use during regular business hours. Of course, you can call them. You can stop by one of their local offices. However you want to attack it, whatever works best for you, that's what you should do. Telhio Credit Union is open to everyone in Central and Southwestern Ohio, and they are federally insured by NCUA. All right, so we know that training camp starts on July 10th, but this week the Blue Jackets went back to Nationwide Arena in small groups. And I had a chance to catch up with the Blue Jackets performance coach, Nelson Ayotte. Now, I'll be totally honest with you. At the time I talked to him here, we didn't have the July 10th date, okay? So that is the new news before that. But Nelson, right there on day one, going through the procedures and the protocols, and here he is to tell you exactly what the Blue Jackets are doing as they return to their strength training and their on-ice skating. Well, Nelson, you've been through a lot of training camps and workouts and all kind of things in your career, but how much different are these small group workouts that you started just this week?
It's a bit crazy. I'm in the office right now. I'm locked in, but while I was on the floor with the players this morning, it's mask on with gloves. We can't spot them. We can't touch them. Like players have to move their own weights around. So yeah, it's very different.
And with the small groups right now, you've worked with small groups in the past, but now it is, it's designated too. Did you guys decide who was going to work out with who? Were the players able to decide that? What was the process on figuring out who was going to be in what group?
It has to be split. It was split in order of seniorities. So we put we try to have a couple of, because we have NHL guys, we have AHL guys, we have prospects. So we try to equilibrate the groups as much as we can. There's a group that can work with the goalie coach. There's a group that can't, because we can't interchange the group. So Kevin worked with his group, I work with my group. So we try to make it as logical as possible. If there's any, there's no good or wrong answer on that one.
When you talk about the seniority, were the older guys able to decide what time they wanted to come in and do their workout?
Yes, they were, but we switch from week to week. So when you're in the morning this week, then we switch next week. Then you're in the afternoon. So it doesn't. It's a half and half. We try to make it as fair as possible for everyone.
You mentioned you can't spot anybody or any of that stuff. How weird is that for you? I mean, a guy that has spent his life in the gym working with athletes to have to put the brakes on at times, and I'm sure you have natural reactions of things that you want to do or something you want to grab or whatever that you have to, consciously say, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, but you always have to be careful of what you want to grab. And like we touch. You can't touch, so you have to use words. You have to use cues. Equipment, like I said, the players move their own equipment. You don't move equipment. Usually we tend to do stuff for them or try to accommodate them. And now it's being conscious about staying away as much as possible. Each player have their program on their phone. Then they go, they do their stuff, and it's a question, answer back and forth with each other.
I'll tell you what. If I'm lifting, and that is a big if, as you know, but if I'm lifting, I need somebody to spot. I mean, somebody's got to grab that thing or I'm going to be in big trouble.
Well, we have actually, fortunately, most of our equipment has safety devices. Like the power rack have safety pins. And so the gym is also adequate for people who wants to lift by themselves if they want to. So obviously, we're still there to supervise. But those guys have been lifting for a while too. So there's nothing out of the ordinary right now here regarding, we try to stay basic with the training, actually, as much as possible.
How long is it going to take you to figure out what guys were doing in the time off? And I know it was different for everybody. Some guys had access to equipment that other guys didn't. Some were doing kind of their own makeshift at-home workouts, if you will. How long will it take to figure out exactly where each player is when it comes to his strength training right now?
I think that situation is very similar to the summer, because in the summer, the guys that do, there's a lot of our players that end up with their summer trainer or summer program. So basically, it's not that long. Usually the first day, if the work has been done properly and not, but the boys have been really, really, really good about it. So I'm not too worried about anybody on the team doing their job. The team is we're young, but we're a mature young team. We've been young for a long time, and but the guys that are coming are like they know what we expect. They know what Torts expect. So I don't think there's going to be any bad surprises. The guys are going to be ready physically when it's time to go. Has there been a player that you've talked to that had maybe a more inventive type of a workout than other guys while this pause has been going on? Not really. We saw stuff that guys started to use more, like Peloton and stuff like that they were not using in the past. It was an experiment, but I think it might be an experiment that we might have some people that stick with it after that, because they like they were talking about it in the gym this morning, how they like the process. And but otherwise, no, there was not something very out. Beside the situation, that the training was not out of the ordinary.
So nobody was like chopping wood and carrying rocks or the old Rocky IV workouts?
No, no. Otherwise, I would have brought them home. I have a lot of wood to chop there.
Yeah, you got a farm out there. You could have worked guys out and helped your own cause easily.
Yes, yes, yes. But they want to take advantage of that one.
You just said something a moment ago about guys finding something that works for them throughout this pause because they had to. And I think that's true I know it's true of what I do, like doing interviews like this. We weren't doing these prior to the NHL stopping, and now it's just a way of life. So in some ways, you learn some new things that are good and will continue on. Has there been anything in your job that has been like that maybe you never tried it before, you got forced to try it, and now it's something that might stay around?
But just as you brought it back, exactly something like Peloton. It's something that pro athlete or Olympians with not use in the past. Now probably it's going to switch some businesses as well too, to go more toward that way, toward the assisted training, toward video. It was that phase was starting to come, or that trend was starting to come. I think the pandemic just accelerated. So to me, that's going to be the thing. Maybe more coaching online than hands-on will be probably the biggest growth right now in our industry.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because I know with the guys that we talked to throughout this break, we were checking in with different guys pretty much once a week. And a lot of players said that they were still working with their summer trainer. Some of them happened to be in the same spot where that trainer was, but most of them, it was the online training that they were doing.
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. We have a training app for the players. We have stuff. So yeah, more and more is done online. And I think we just had to accelerate the process. That's it.
What is the testing process? And I'm not talking about the weight testing or any of that. I'm talking about the coronavirus testing that everybody has to go through. What goes on with that?
So I know for us, for instance, from my side, what I know is we have to test twice a week. So there's a tester that's coming, a third party that it's coming. It's a split test. We put our test, we give it back to the tester. We're not allowed to come in the building before we're tested. After that, we go through our athletic trainer process. So Voter or Strix or Nate, take our temperature. We do have to take our temperature ourselves in the morning. So between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning, take my temperature. Then our athletic trainer call, is your temperature okay? Any symptoms? There's a little questionnaire, being in contact with anyone that is at risk, and then come to the rink and then pass the test, and then move to the building after that. So this is how the protocol works right now. I know our athletic trainer can probably talk a lot more, because they've been the one that Voter has been organizing all this, and it's been quite extensive as a process.
Yeah, I can imagine. And once you get to the building, is it like business as usual, or how different? I haven't been in that building for 3 months. So
no, it's like? Mask. I'm coaching with mask and gloves right now, and the players train and lift the weights with the mask.
They have. Do they have to have? Do they have to have the mask on when they're lifting, or is that their choice?
I think it's a team. We're back. We're a team that wear our helmet during warm up. It's not required. The whole team does. Here we've been asked to wear the mask when we're in the building, and the staff, it's mask and glove at all times. So this is very, very different. The only time I can remove my attire is when I'm in the office and the door's locked. The players are all on the ice right now for our group. They have to be gone by 11:30. I had to clean all the equipment. So they leave all the equipment there. We disinfected everything. Then we leave 11:30, and then the second group is coming with Kevin later on today.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that cleaning process, how thorough you have to go through and make sure that all of the equipment is cleaned before that next group comes in.
I'm actually asking them to leave everything out. For years we've been telling them to put the equipment where they picked it up, and now it's the opposite. We tell them everything you picked, you leave it there, and after that, I have to go. We each have our area. So, of course, Kevin and I were responsible of the gym. So everything that has been touched in the gym has to be disinfected between the next group is coming.
So just like children, you finally get them trained to put all their stuff away, and now you're telling them to leave it out. That's probably going to be 2 seasons before you get them retrained to put it all back away, Nelson.
Actually, funny you mentioned that. I thought of it this morning because I said now they got to start to get the habit to leave everything out. Yeah, 2 seasons, you're not too far.
Yeah, exactly right. Do you have any? Did they give you, whether it's Mike Vogt, the head athletic trainer, or whether it's the league or anything? I know this is the way that it is right now, but do you guys have any idea if you're going to have to keep coaching in masks and gloves from now until, even through the end of this season if we come back to complete this season?
No, zero idea. I'll be working like this until they tell me I don't have to anymore. No idea. Zero. Yeah. No clue.
What about the guys now when they go on the ice? Are you allowed to walk out to the ice surface? These seem like really stupid questions, but I know that like if you're covering, the media is not allowed in the building, but I know that the team's allowed to have a shooter there. But the shooter, as strange as this seems to me, is not allowed to be down, let's say at the ice house on the floor level behind the glass, but they can be in the stands. I thought they're putting the glass in every stinking grocery store. I thought it was okay, but no, that's not the case. Are you allowed to go out to the rink? Are you allowed to watch, or do you have to stay within your own area?
I stay in my own area right now. They're being told like that's the group that it is. They want to have that maximum group over there. We're under right now. We're not at 6. We're at 5. But the benches and all this, then it's the equipment people area responsibility. So everyone has a very specific area in the building, and we hold to on our area as much as we can.
And for people that don't understand how strange that is, I mean, during a practice, it is commonplace just to loiter around, and you could stroll out to the bench, especially in the ice house. You might just stroll down that hallway, walk out onto the bench, stick your head out there, talk to the equipment guys for a couple of seconds. I mean, I do it. It's regular, or has been regular practice before you even go up into the stand. So this is, again, as you talked about not touching weights, there's going to be a lot of manual override not to do the things that you've done your entire life, isn't there?
Absolutely. And same thing, just like you. Yes, usually when they go on the ice, I'll start to walk around and I'll go, you see me, I'll go either on the bench, I'll go in the stands, look at the practice, monitor some stuff. But yeah, and we're also each other, we've been told to keep each other in check as well too. If someone is somewhere they're not supposed to, then we need to step forward and say, hey, and because human natures, we might do stuff, all of us, by mistake, not on purpose. Just walking. But now it's been very, very, very strict. And we have to be conscious at all time, 100% of the time.
Now, how many days a week are you guys going to go? Are you going 5 days a week?
We're starting with 4 right now. So we go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. The weekend, the boys going to have something to do on their own at home. And then we take Wednesday off. When hopefully, if things cleared up a bit and we start to feel that there's going to be phase 3 is coming, or we started to be warned, then we're going to ramp up at that time. But until then, we're on 4 days at the rink, 1 day at home on their own, and then usually the other 2 days it's a recovery day.
And that's another thing. Phase 3 is the actual training camp, if you will. And that, as you said, that hasn't been decided yet when that is going to be. Different things you read seems to be somewhere in, I don't know, mid to late July, maybe before that gets started. But when does that make your job any more difficult as far as, you're training, you're getting ready, but you don't know exactly what date you're getting ready for?
Yeah, it's not difficult, yes or not. We need to train the boys. We go, like we're talking like this now, some of them are in a certain phase. Then we'll just keep going on with the next phase. And the next phase might be usually a training phase I always like to do between 4 to 6 weeks. So we're starting a new training phase. So I'll go 4 to 6 weeks with this. Then if we're still on the holding pattern at that time, I'll add another phase to it and I'll keep moving until we get to go. It's not more difficult. It's not more planning. It's because the phase are moving up and down. So if we did a relative strength, like pushing really heavy in the gym for one phase, Then the next phase, it doesn't matter. Like you need to release a bit. You need to go like higher reps and lower weights. So basically, I'm approaching it like if I had to train the players for a year.
Again,
And I'm not saying that's where it's going to go, but what I'm saying, this is how I go. So I go one phase of accumulation, one phase of intensification, and I will alternate those until we got the tap on the shoulder and it's time to go.
yeah, and again, you're training them to get back to play, and then when does the next season start? That's another question in itself. So there's still more questions and answers on all of this stuff. How happy are the players just to be back at the rink? Not often are players happy to be at the rink in mid-June, unless you're, winning Stanley Cup. But are the guys just genuinely happy to be back amongst one another again in a work atmosphere?
I obviously think that they're happy to be to be with their teammates again. And there's some guys too. They didn't have all the infrastructure to train at home too. So for them, they said, no, I had no access to ice at all. The gyms were closed. Like if I look in the paper in Montreal, the gym's still not open over there. So the guys, I think they were happy to be able to come back with a quality training environment, and of course being together. Locker rooms at a tight spot, and there are some stories of what happened, who cooked what, and so I think just being in the atmosphere of the locker room again, it's healthy for everyone, even for us. I was happy to see the boys come in this morning, and even though we have to go through those hurdles, like I think that being together again is the most important thing right now.
Yeah, because when a season ends, normally, and even after it ends, you still come in for exit meetings. Guys get together a couple of times before they go their separate ways for the summer. So there's always like this gradual parting. Never has it been for everybody. Stop, can't see anybody, can't talk to anybody, can't go anywhere. So, yeah, this is a new experience. I would imagine those young guys are happy to see their buddies again.
Oh, but even the older one.
Yeah.
Even the older one, yeah. So, no, there's guys, Jonesy, Gus were here this morning. And again, it's I think it's very healthy that at least we were able to start in that phase.
All right, you mentioned Seth Jones, and that's what I did want to ask you, because as it turns out in this whole thing, I think the guys that had the biggest benefit were the guys that were hurt, because they were allowed to keep rehabbing. That meant they could skate. That meant they could work out. And Seth Jones and Oliver Bjorkstrand are the two biggest names on the Blue Jackets list for that. What kind of shape are those guys in now as you get back to this training camp? They're in good shape, but they're in rehab shape. Even them, they were really happy because they were skating, but they were skating only together and with no goalie. Now they're happy to have like some of the guys that can play with them, and now there's a goalie in each group, so the guys can shoot puck on real. So obviously they're not in top shape, but they're along where they should have been in the process of rehab, and of course it's big plus for us to have those guys back, but everyone else in the league's getting their injured guys back too. So we'll start at even strength when that thing is a go. I hope those guys had a lot of goals when there was no goalie. I really do.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, as you talk with your peers throughout the league, how much have you guys talked about all the things that you and I have just talked about here, these protocols and, getting your rehab players back? How much have you touched base with the other guys in the league in your position, in your profession, your friends that are dealing with the same things?
Yeah, we have like we have those kind of groups, that the go-to guys that I got 4 or 5 good friends that do the same thing in the league. So we were talking a bit, but not that much. But when we were talking, we were kind of all in the same basket, like not handcuffed, but everything was very, very, very limited. Some guys were asking, so what kind of program you do with the players, and it was all close to be the same. So it's stuff that you can do outside and drills and but yeah, beside with I guess we had the same discussion almost as everybody else, like what's going on, how crazy this is, what when there's some teams that lost all their players completely, like they fly of the city. And again, I'm coming back to Montreal, like the Bell Center still, that their training facility, they started to repair stuff over there, and they end up not being ready. So that's why they're not open yet. Even the players are not there yet, because they said, oh, it's time to do some repairs. Why no? But then it's not ready now. So everybody had kind of different challenges, but it was the same discussion probably that you have with the people that you know where that thing's going, how it is. Never seen this, and a lot of unknown answers.
Well, the people in my profession are used to talking all the time, and all of a sudden we had nobody to talk to. So as you can imagine, that's the biggest shock.
No, but that's why you grow your beard. Now you have time to take care of it. And
as I told David Savard a couple of weeks ago, I could have a playoff beard for the first time in my life, and I had 3 months to get ready for it.
Yes, there you go. Hopefully it's going to touch your belly button by then when this thing is done.
I'm saving it for December. I think I can make some extra cash, playing Santa.
Yeah.
Different places. Hey, how'd you enjoy just working on the farm, being around the horses, the animals, and that kind of stuff at a time of the year when normally you'd be much busier doing something else?
But actually, for me on that one, it was a silver lining. I had the time to do a lot more work, like painting, and that's stuff that usually I would postpone in the summer. And honestly, I love Columbus, but the summers could be brutal. Sometimes some work outside, I can work only 2 to 3 hours at a time because we hit 98 to 102 degrees, and it's just too warm. I have to do the work early in the morning or later at night. That time allowed me to do a lot of stuff all day long, actually. So we was like, our family were really blessed on that one. We could work, and the time was flying. I didn't spend much time in front of Netflix, actually.
Well, that's what flights are usually for at this time of the year. But yeah, things change. The last thing I want to ask you is from a hockey fan perspective. And you mentioned earlier that everybody's getting their players back. Everybody's going to be at full strength when this tournament, if you will, begins. How anxious are you, and how much are you looking forward to watching these games that are coming up because of that? Everybody at full strength, everybody coming out of the gate. You've got something to play for right away, and watching these great athletes go at it right from the drop of the first puck.
Yeah, no, I'm not anxious, but I'm very, very eager. Yeah. When I learned that the format that was adopted, I start to feel that we were in again. We were kind of in the bottom of a wave, I can say, with not lack of news, because we had a lot of news from the league, but it was still the same news. So that nothing. But when they say, okay, this is the format, and then we started to see there was going to be a phase 2, then I started to be excited again. Even more, like maybe a little bit more excited that if a season was start again, because a season, we know everybody's excited. The first 20 games, then you go game 40 to 60. It's a grind, and then you start to get excited in the last 20 games because the playoffs are coming. But I was already there at the top right now, getting ready to play off. So yeah, this is very, very, very exciting.
And the good news is playing the Maple Leafs means that the Blue Jackets will be front and center of every conversation until games start again.
Yeah, of course. But as usual, there's no. We're gonna play good teams. And yes, of course, that's a team that has a lot of exposure. So, so bring it on.
Yeah, good to be in the conversation. No question about
Absolutely.
that. Nelson, thanks for taking a couple of minutes to explain the process. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you. It's good to talk to you. And hopefully that'll be in a much more normal work environment pretty soon. Thanks again.
Hopefully. Thanks for having me.
That is Blue Jackets performance coach Nelson Ayotte. He is getting the Blue Jackets ready for the next phase. They have just started phase 2. Phase 3 is coming on July 10th when training camps open around the National Hockey League for the 24 teams that are going to continue to play. So it's a very exciting time. So now we've got the training camp date, and we need 2 other things. First of all, the hub cities, and then the start of the resumption of play, the formal date for the resumption of play. But again, a day ago, 2 days ago, I didn't have anything for you, really. So now we've got some stuff. Now the wheels are starting to turn a little bit. Now you can really sense that hockey is coming back. So it's an exciting time. There's no doubt about it. So thanks to Nelson Ayotte for joining me today. Also, thank you for being there. As always, start to get excited because it's coming back. It's coming back at a weird time of the year. This is a time of the year where we're usually kind of, it's turning down a little bit. You're getting ready for the draft and free agency, and then it's going to go to sleep. There will be no sleeping this summer for the National Hockey League. There will be none. Stay awake. Get ready, do what you got to do, but start to get excited about it because the NHL is coming back. That'll do it for today's edition of CBJin30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Until next time, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.